You know what keeps founders stuck for months, sometimes years? It's not lack of ideas, and it's not even lack of time. It's that their best thinking is trapped inside their head, where they cannot actually see it. Hi, I'm Vladimir. Over the past 20 years, I've founded companies with exits in fintech and space tech. I've advised over 300 individuals and 100 companies, from early-stage Techstar founders to experienced executives. And I've noticed something that surprises people. The smartest people I work with aren't struggling because they cannot think. They're struggling because they cannot see their own thinking. This video is about why that happens and how to fix it. Not with more effort, with better systems for getting what's in your head into the world where you can actually work with it. Here's the trap. We treat thinking like an internal process. Something that happens between our ears. We sit with problems, turn them over into our minds, wait for clarity to emerge. But here's what I learned from 20 years of building companies and now coaching founders. Thinking that stays in your head isn't really thinking. It's just noise with potential. Your brain is oriented toward balance, not truth. As long as you feel comfortable, whatever thoughts are in your mind seem fine. Your brain lies to you. Mine does it to me all the time. It smooths over contradictions. It fills gaps with assumptions you do not notice. It tells you that you have clarity when you actually have is familiarity. The thoughts feel coherent because they are yours. But feeling coherent is not the same thing as being coherent, and they are two different things. So how do you actually think clearly? You get it out of your head. Let me explain what I mean by that. When you put your thoughts on paper, you force them into structure. You cannot write a vague feeling. You have to choose words, you have to sequence ideas, and you have to commit. And in that process of committing, something powerful happens. You start to see where you actually don't have clarity, where you need more details, where you have been carrying opposite thoughts in your head without noticing. I do this when I'm stuck or when I want to explore my thoughts more. The process is called morning papers. Originally from the book The Artist's Way, stream of consciousness writing is not polished draft. The goal isn't to produce something good. The goal is to make my thinking visible so I can work with it. Think about it this way. Imagine trying to organize a messy room in the dark. You can feel around, make some guesses, maybe move a few things, but you cannot actually see the mess. That's what thinking in your head is like. Writing turns on the light. Once the ideas are on paper, you can compare them, contrast them, identify the gaps, find the contradictions. You cannot do that when everything is swirling around invisibly inside your skull. This is something I recommend to founders I coach. Before our sessions, get your thoughts out of your head, write them down. Not to share with me, though you can, but because the act of writing is itself a thinking process. You will often solve half of the problem before we even talk. But here's the limitation to writing alone. Even when you put things on paper, you can still look at the thoughts you've expressed them and think, those are my thoughts and they are great thoughts. You confirm them to yourself because they feel so familiar. You're still the same brain that created those thoughts. You're still subject to the same biases. This is where coaching usually helps. When you bring a non-biased observer to your thoughts, it's much easier for them to see where you are not expressing clarity. They're not attached to your conclusions. They're not invested in your being right. They can ask the questions you don't think to ask yourself. One of my favorite tools as a coach is asking, why are you focusing on this right now? What should be the outcome be when we are done? Who gets to decide when we're done? These seem like simple questions, but when you are inside your own head, they are invisible. The brain doesn't always provide coherent solutions to its own problems. It takes an outside perspective to reveal the gaps. Good coaches also bring frameworks, mental models that give you thinking structure. One of my favorite comes from David Rock's Your Brain at Work. He describes the limits of thoughts we can handle at the same time efficiently. He uses the analogy of a theater stage. Each of your thoughts is an actor. And his research shows that when you have more than 4 actors on that stage, you lose productivity, you lose control, you get distracted and lose context. 4, that's the limit. Once you become aware of this limitation, you can build systems around it. Don't have more than 4 items on your immediate agenda? Do them. Then move on to the next 4. This is especially important for entrepreneurs, founders, and executives who are exposed to hundreds, sometimes thousands of competing tasks. Understanding your cognitive capacity helps you become more efficient. Not by working harder, but by respecting your limitations. I'll give a personal example. I used to forget one of the 5 things when leaving the house: wallet, car keys, phone, turn off the alarm, entry card. Always 5 things to remember, and I consistently drop one. I don't know why 5 seems to be where my brain maxed out. Maybe because we have just 2 hands, and when both hands are full, we feel complete. But what solved it for me? A system. I made up a rhyme. And because I could not find the right words in English, I did it in Russian. Кошелек, ключи, будильник, документы и мобильник. Wallet, keys, alarm, entry card. That rhyme turned 5 separate items into just one chunk. One actor on the stage instead of 5. The same principle applies to medication, to conference prep, and any repeated task. You systematize it so your brain doesn't have to hold it all consciously. For founders, what is your standard operating procedure for preparing for investor meeting, for conferences, for product launches? Preparing for preparing is one of the most effective ways to optimize the execution when it truly matters. Here's another place where the brain misleads us. When problems arise, your mind tells you to address the loudest one, the most urgent, the one that is screaming for attention right now. But loud doesn't mean important. The brain gets validation from focusing on whatever is the most distracting in the moment. It feels productive. You're doing something right. You are responding. But responding isn't the same as more effective is the discipline of triaging and prioritization. Asking, what will make the biggest impact toward my goals? What might derail me if I ignore it? Not every problem is the same. There's no need to rush solving them as they come up. This is something I work on constantly with founders I coach. Frequent interruptions can be addressed with time blocking. Face-to-face disruptions can be fixed with the ground rules for your team. Endless spiral of thoughts can be stopped by time limiting the activity. These techniques are easy to read. You might be nodding right now, and they're not always easy to discover on your own because your brain doesn't help you see their own patterns. That's why externalization matters. Write down what's competing for your attention. Look at the list. Ask, what actually matters here? You cannot prioritize what you cannot see. Talk to a coach. Now let me address something that I see constantly with starting founders: the curse of perfection. You cannot seem to allow yourself to reveal something to the world that isn't perfect. The fear of being judged, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of failure. When that comes up, I ask, why do you feel that way? When was the last time you were so harshly criticized? Why do you think anyone will notice? Here's the truth, and in my practice, this lands hard for founders. We love ourselves too much, to our own detriment. Unless you're already at the center of everyone's attention, which is very expensive from a marketing perspective, you don't realize how much room for experimentation and failure you actually have. Most things you have built won't make people call you or your project a failure. What will happen is much more boring. You will probably be ignored or noticed in a small, positive way. That's a good effort. That means that your experimentation runway is actually very long. I wouldn't even call it a failure. I'd call it data collection. Every experiment teaches you something, and the cost of those experiments in most cases is much lower than costs of waiting for perfection that never comes. Building business is a mix of creativity and systems. If you want reliability, you need systems. If you want innovation, you still need systems, just one that allows variability. There are great books on this, like Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows. Once you have systems in place, it is easier to shape your thoughts to them and vice versa. You're training your brain to think in ways that gets you the desired outcomes. And so here's the bottom line. Your best thinking isn't something you find by going deeper in your head. It's something you discover by getting it out on the paper, in a conversation, into the world, where you and others can actually examine it. Stop trusting that your brain has it all figured out. It doesn't. It lies to you. Start externalizing. Write your thoughts down. Find someone who can observe them without your biases. Respect your cognitive limits. 4 items at a time, not 40. Prioritize deliberately instead of reacting to whatever is loudest. And give yourself permission to experiment, because your runway is longer than your perfectionism wants you to believe. The clarity you're looking for, it's already inside of you. You just need to get it out where you can see it. If this resonated, drop a comment. What's your one thought you've been carrying around that you've never put on paper? And if you want help examining your own thinking, the link to work with me is below.